All right, we're back on. Hey guys, Dr. Tola. Tonight it's going to be exciting because we have an amazing sister of mine joining, Dr. Veronica Wiltshire. And we're going to be talking about COVID, everything you want to know about your COVID with the kids. Just tune in. Awesome. So, I think we are. Hey, Joyce. Hey, Tanya. Hey, guys. Um, so, yeah, we're waiting for, Dr. Veronica Wiltshire to give us all the juicy details about COVID. As you guys know, we've been dealing with this for almost 2 years. Um, let's see. Okay, I think. So I think, Dr. Veronica, do you see me? Because I invited you already. Uh-oh. Why are you unable to join? Okay. All right. Yeah, so we've been going through the whole pandemic for such a long. Yay, we got her again.
Yay!
Awesome. So let me just put my
Finally.
camera down so that I'm
Yeah.
not cut off. Awesome. Awesome. I think we're good. Well, so nice to see you. Hi, Bill.
Thank you. You can hear me?
I can hear you nice and good.
Yay. Hi,
Yay.
guys.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
Hey.
Tola. How are you?
I'm doing
Well,
great. I'm doing
listen,
great.
if I look crazy, it's because I'm locked in the bathroom.
No, the things we do when we have kids, and trust me, I totally understand. Hey
Yes,
guys, thanks
seriously.
for joining in. I have here an amazing sister, friend, like friend ton sister, like literally. We've been through so much together, medical school journey and life, and yeah, so let me just give you a little bias so you guys know, what you're getting tonight. This is Veronica, Dr. Veronica Wiltshire. She's board certified general pediatrician, currently the chief medical officer for United Health Centers in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I don't know, say North Carolina. I'm not sure how I feel just yet. I
Oh
mean,
my
I've
God.
always known you as a New Yorker, so I
Yeah,
think we're having some mixed feelings there, but I'm sure North Carolina is treating you really good.
very nice. Very nice.
Yes. And prior to her journey to North Carolina, she was the chief medical officer in Queens, New York. And she was also one of the first teams to set up a COVID-19 testing to hundreds of people in a deemed zone that was a zone that was deemed hot zone. So we're so excited for you, to just have you join us here on Dr. Tola's show and just share with us. We've been talking so much about COVID and what's been happening with our kids, and there's so many updates. I mean, if you're like me, I'm like, okay, what is next? What is the CDC coming out with again tomorrow? It's like
Oh my
things are
God.
changing so fast. So thank you
I'm
guys for
telling
tuning in. Get your questions in there so we don't miss it. Everything COVID, especially with our kids, and we'll touch on a couple of things for your adults as well.
I'm
So
telling you,
yes, how are
it,
you
it
doing?
I'm doing great. With the move, it's been crazy.
Hmm.
Um, but I still don't feel settled. We actually don't have a house yet. We're still renting in a villa, but it's been really nice.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, so we're taking things slow, but I'm enjoying learning the new areas and my job. Everyone is really nice and it's been welcoming, and it's different because I don't really know anyone yet in Winston. So, but everyone is really friendly. You go to the supermarket, everyone is saying hi, and
Yeah,
so
different from your New York feeling.
yes, 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 for sure. But thank you, Tola, for inviting me on your show.
Yay.
And
Absolutely.
so
Um,
yeah, it's been
yeah.
a lot going on with COVID or Omicron now. So
Omicron now. I know. Tell us, what are you guys seeing? Like, what has it been like on your end?
it's been crazy. So I actually see patients, I'm the chief medical officer for the clinic. So I don't see patients every day, but I do see patients on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And majority of those visits are, kids being sent either for testing because they got sick at school, or they're sick at home and the parents want to know if they have COVID. So majority of the day is we do car visits. So if we screen the phone call and the patient has sore throats or fevers, then we'll go to the car so they don't have to come into the building. So pretty much every day I'm running outside. So even in North Carolina, on my feet I have on my Uggs boots.
Oh. Hey, gotta be comfortable. Totally.
Yes, because it's a lot of trips outside.
Yes.
But yeah, I was talking to a friend the other day, and everyone is, of course, the entire world is kind of tired of the pandemic already and all these variants.
Yeah.
So Omicron is just really another variant, and we know variants do occur all the time. Once the virus keep replicating, they're going to have mutations. So that's why we see all these variants come out. So the last one that was really bad that we were hearing so much about was Delta. So now we have Omicron. But basically, these variants are named by the World Health Organization, and currently they're using Greek letters, right? So all of these, so the next variant, so be prepared. There's going to be another variant that's going to probably have another Greek letter. So far, they had the Delta, Alpha, Lambda. It's just that some of them we just didn't hear about because they didn't become as big as Delta and now Omicron. But the thing is with Omicron, because it's so transmissible, everybody is catching it, every day, literally, no lie. One of my friends, and these are mostly doctors, are texting me, doctors that are vaccinated, texting me that, they got COVID. And why? It's because some of them didn't get their booster shots yet, right? So the thing is with Omicron, because it's so easily transmissible, soon as one person get it, you're guaranteed that the other person is going to catch it.
Totally.
And it's not like Delta where you were seeing infections in much of the older population. A lot of the younger people are catching the virus, especially kids, because we still have a lot of kids under 5 who are not able to get vaccines. And there's some differences. Of course, a lot of it is very similar, but in Omicron, what we're seeing is like a terrible sore throat. So as a matter of fact, I tell my staff, if they're feeling sore throat,
stay away.
Definitely go get a test because it's probably Omicron. Because the presentation a lot of time is a very bad sore throat, a lot of nasal congestion, high fevers. In kids, we see high fevers, and also a dry cough. So a lot of times we see kids, they have sort of a croupy cough. So everyone knows about croup in kids, but some of the cases are appearing like if it's croup. So if you see a presentation where this child sounds like a barking cough, try to get them to get checked. With this virus, you don't have as many severe cases as you have a lot of cases. But again, remember, there's always a percentage of people who are going to get hospitalized. So because we have so many cases, you end up having more hospitalizations. So again, the healthcare system is overwhelmed with a lot of hospitalizations. And guess what? Majority of the hospitalizations are people who are not vaccinated, especially for kids. Of all the vaccinations, of all the patients in the hospital, it's like less than 1% of them are the ones who are fully vaccinated. So recently one of my friends reached out to me to ask me about the vaccine and the safety for kids, because the recommendation Pfizer vaccines, they're cleared for age 5 to 11, and then from before 12 to 17. So only 50% of our 12 to 17-year-olds are vaccinated, and only 16% of our 5 to 12-year-olds are vaccinated. So you see, the percentage is still very low.
So,
And because parents are still afraid,
yeah, I was going to say that. Like, what do you think? People are scared. They want to know. The
they
question
want to
is,
know,
what's going to
and they're
happen?
scared. And they're scared about side effects and long-term effects. And remember, it's a new vaccine. We don't really know, but so far from the studies that they've looked at, I think they've checked 42,000 children between the age 5 to 11, 42,000, and they looked at them, the effects that they've had. And so far, it's just been very mild and very temporary effects,
Wow.
so it showed that the vaccine is really safe. For another study done in Arizona, it showed that they studied 243 children from age 12 to 17, and they found that the Pfizer vaccine was 92% effective against getting the COVID infection.
Okay. That's
So
amazing.
one of the major concerns was the myocarditis. A lot of people probably heard about that. Is the inflammation that you can get in the heart, and they were seeing that in a lot of the children, right?
Yeah.
Myocarditis, that's a big one.
What are those
And
side effects? Because I know like people like myocarditis. What is that?
yeah, so the kid will have chest pains, right?
Mm.
But the thing is, what they found from the age group of 5 to 11, looking to see how many of them had that, because the myocarditis that they've seen in young people were related to the mRNA vaccine,
Mm.
the
Vaccine.
Pfizer,
Yeah.
Moderna. Yeah, but it was very, very rare. Well, guess what? It's even more rare in this lower age group of kids. So parents don't have to worry about myocarditis in, this from this vaccine. But if the kids do catch COVID, they're more at risk to catch myocarditis from COVID, you know?
Huh.
So the concern shouldn't be
We have
my
to look at
kid.
the benefits and outweigh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it outweigh the risk. So it's been very rare. They haven't found that between 5 to 11-year-olds with the myocarditis. They found it more in the older age group, but again, it was still very rare. So, and if you hear any noise, that's my toddler. So I'm warning you guys.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm still in the bathroom. So, yeah. So again, it's just usually they might have a little headache, feel a little tired, a little swelling or redness where the injection site was. So even if the swelling and the redness look crazy, it's gonna go away. It's just temporary. Sometimes you have parents bringing in the kids because the swelling and the redness is so bad, but it's nothing
Yeah.
that they have to be worried about. So it's a very, very effective vaccine. And the studies does show that most of the kids who are now hospitalized, and currently 4 in every 100,000 kids are hospitalized. And that's with the Omicron variant being so,
Very.
much. Yeah. Before it was
Sure, sure.
2.5 out of every 100,000. So the numbers are rising. And guess what? Those numbers are more younger kids, the ones that are not able to get vaccinated, the ones less than
Wow.
5. So those are our babies.
Right.
So in order
Yes.
for us to protect them, we have to do the right thing as adults, and as the older kids, because, we're able to get vaccinated. So I don't like to put my own beliefs on people and say, oh, you must get vaccinated or anything like that. What my job is to just give them the facts, give them the studies, and let them make their own decisions.
Okay. So let's pause for a minute. I see like 2 questions, but I think Andy, the author, I think we answered the first. What are some of the side effects in children? One of the things she mentioned, they have swelling in the side, redness, other common symptoms. I think the fatigue remains the same. Are you guys seeing a lot of headaches with
Yeah,
the
a lot
kids?
of
Wow.
headaches
Yeah.
but even, you mean with COVID or with the vaccine as a side effect?
With the vaccine as a side effect.
Yes, yes, but not so much. It's
Yeah.
mostly just the swelling, or the redness, and it goes away in a few days. But some kids do get headache and feeling fatigue.
Okay.
Hmm.
So that's Andy, the author. And then there's another question. If someone is asymptomatic, if they contracted COVID numerous times, will they always be asymptomatic? No, I can say that.
No, 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 not at all. And so that's the thing with this virus. And, and one of the things I wanted to mention to people, because there's like, um, why do we even have to get a booster vaccine, right? We had two
Mhm.
vaccines already. Why do we need a booster? So we need a booster because of the variants. So this Omicron, every time we have a mutation in the virus, it makes the vaccine less likely to be as effective. So it's not that the
Mhm.
vaccine, if you had two doses, isn't still effective. It is. It's about
Mhm.
70% effective or so with the Omicron. Whereas with the two doses of with the Delta variant, it was very effective. Omicron,
Mhm.
it's less effective. But with the booster, that number bumps up because with the booster, it helps the body to get more antibodies to react to that Omicron variant, you know?
Awesome.
So
Wow.
the thing is, when you have, say, for instance, the coronavirus, right? Usually the first place it goes is into the lungs. If we don't have the booster, we had our shots 6 months ago or a year ago. If we don't have the booster, the antibodies wouldn't be as potent to fight off that Omicron virus, but
Mhm.
it would be enough to prevent us from getting severe infections. That's why we won't end up in the hospital. But that's why you might still end up getting infected, even though you had the two doses already. You might still have a cough and a runny nose and fever and so on because the virus still knocked you down. But it's not strong enough to get you like really ill to give you hospitalization. So that's why it's still very important for you to get the two doses. But it would work best for Omicron with the booster. So that's why
With
we
the
need the
booster.
booster.
All right.
Hmm.
So let's take a pause here. I see another question. Myself and toddler tested positive for COVID. Should we still wear face coverings around each other at home? I think
I
so.
mean,
What do you
yeah,
think?
I don't think because they already have the positive, it doesn't really matter. But just if they're going outside, because they already have the virus, it's nothing. If, say, for instance, the mom had the virus and the child didn't, then we
Right.
would recommend the mom to wear the mask and try to isolate, even go
Sure.
stay in a hotel or something if she can. But now that they both have it, I don't think, it would
Yeah.
make,
I think the only thing I would add to that is if, you have other people in the house, who
yes, oh yes.
don't have it, then maybe you should consider putting it or, just isolate somewhere. I know
Yes,
it's not easy to isolate. It's easier said than done, but yes.
easier said than done. And, I'm going to talk a little about that, because there's so much new recommendations from the CDC about
Let's
that.
hear that. Let's hear that.
Yeah. So, so the thing is, guys, okay, so I'm assuming majority of us are vaccinated. Majority of us
Okay.
probably don't
So
have
let's
the
pause. If
booster
you're not vaccinated, please get vaccinated. If you're not boosted yet, get your booster shots. It's so
because
important because
I
this
just
Omicron, as you
experienced.
can see, it's really transmissible. And it's I think at the end of the day, everyone at some point will probably be exposed to it. Not even exposed, but I eventually get in it just because of the high rate of
Yes.
the
So,
transmissibility
so
as well.
so that's what I'm saying. So a lot of my friends who are doctors, I told you, end up getting COVID, not because they weren't vaccinated, but I just told you with the booster, they weren't able to get the booster in time. The booster would have prevented, them from getting sick again. Not that you can't get it with the booster, you can. But, again, the goal with these vaccines is to prevent getting severe COVID and to prevent hospitalization and to prevent death. And the vaccine really does do those things, you know. So as far as the most recent, and hopefully it didn't change in the past 2 days because I didn't look in the past 2 days.
I'm
Because
literally like looking to see like every single day we're having some updates. So hopefully we're still up to date.
so, and let me just make sure because it's so many changes. So the
Yeah.
thing is, say for instance, you're at work and you're vaccinated and you're exposed to someone who tested positive for COVID. So say for instance, you have all your shots, your booster shots, and the person you sit next to at work got diagnosed with COVID. What do you have to quarantine? according to the CDC, you don't, because you're fully vaccinated with your booster. You don't. But what you have to do is get tested. Okay. Right? So you have to get tested.
Do you get tested right away, or do you wait a couple of days?
So I would say to get tested, the recommendation, if you're going to do a rapid test, antigen test, the recommendation is to do it 2 to 3 days after, because with the rapid antigen test, you need a certain amount of the virus for the test to even be a little accurate. And remember, these rapid antigen tests, first of all, are just about 85% accurate. And again, the antigen tests recognize a part of the protein on the coronavirus. So that's why you need a higher volume of the virus for the test to actually show. So they're not 100% accurate. The PCR, which is the polymerase chain reaction test, that one is the one that goes to the lab and takes a few days. That one recognizes the DNA in the virus. So it goes to the lab and they use a particular enzyme to turn the RNA into DNA. They have to do a bunch of process. So that's why it takes a few days, but it ends up being 99.9% accurate, right? And you don't need a lot of the virus. So say, for instance, your partner in the office tested positive, right? And you were exposed to that person. You can go get a PCR test right away. That's fine. But a rapid antigen test, you might as well wait 2 days if you're not having symptoms, because it might come out negative and you'll think, oh, I'm negative, I don't have. And that's not true, because you just did it too early. You know? So that's the difference. So according to the CDC, again, if you're fully vaccinated, meaning with your booster, if you're 18 years older, you have 2 doses of vaccine and your booster, that's when you're considered fully vaccinated. You don't have to quarantine. If you're going to do a rapid test, you wait 2 to 3 days and you do the rapid test to see if you're positive. If you're positive, and that can happen, unfortunately, but not majority of the time, you got to isolate yourself, and you're going to isolate yourself for 5 days. And definitely you're going to keep monitoring yourself and so on. So the time away is just for 5 days. Definitely you can end isolation if you're not having any symptoms. For instance, if you're not having fever, then you can end isolation. So say, for instance, you're sick, it's 5 days and you're still having fever, you can end isolation. You know, you got to continue until you're fever free for more than 24 hours without taking any Tylenol or Motrin. So you're sitting in the office, you're not vaccinated, or you just had 1 vaccine so far, and your partner next to you tested positive for COVID. So you have to quarantine.
Yes.
You have to quarantine, and you have to quarantine for at least 5 days. And they're saying within those 5 days, you have to get a test. But they're saying to you're not gonna rush to get tested on day 1 if you're not symptomatic. If you're symptomatic, say for instance, you're in the office, you find out your neighbor is positive for COVID, and at the same time you start to have like a wicked sore throat, then you can go get a test.
Definitely.
Why? Because most likely you have enough of the virus there already, and a test. But even if you wait a few days, it's still fine. But it's important that you isolate yourself and go home immediately, because you don't want to be positive and still in the office. So again, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to quarantine, but you still have to get tested. If the test is negative, you can carry on as usual, always wear your mask still. If your test is positive, you definitely got to go home and isolate.
Yeah. And what Phil here is helping us out, 5 days with no symptoms. Yes, thanks, Mikhail.
Yes, 5 days with no symptoms. Because if you have symptoms, you still got to stay home, And then, say for instance, you quarantine for those 5 days, and you don't develop symptom, you still have to monitor yourself for the next 5 days, because they want you to monitor yourself for a total of 10 days. Because that 6th day, you could develop a fever. you could develop a cough. So that's why they still want you to monitor yourself for the next 5 days. Make sure you're wearing your mask, you know?
Yeah.
And also, if you have severe COVID, like if you have severe COVID, you have to isolate for 10 days instead of 5 days. So that's another recommendation. So if you have COVID and it's pretty severe, you're not coming back in 5 days. They want you to be away at least for 10 days. Some cases it's 20 days, but you know, we don't have to talk about that. But basically, this is why it's important to get vaccinated, because it's just easier, you know? You don't have to worry about all the other complicated recommendations, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, guys. Yeah, I know we're like approaching the time here, but this is amazing. So we know about so be careful, those who are getting the rapid testing at home, you know, while if it is positive, right? So just keep that in mind. There are false positives as well, but you kind of just want to keep in mind what we're hearing here today. If you're doing the rapid test, just be mindful not to test too early. And if you do, still keep in the back of your head that it might just be too early. And then, of course, you retest maybe 2 to 3 days later.
Yes, and then it's also recommended. So say, for instance, you test it on day 2 or 3 and it's negative. It's recommended to still do it every other day. Because if you were exposed, that is, and you're not vaccinated, because again, the virus need to be a good amount for those rapid antigen tests. If you had a PCR, then you can be more assured that the results would tell you right away.
Right. Cool.
So one of the things, because a lot of people are asking, so how do I get the home test, the rapid test? So, you know, there are a few brands. There's the Abbott, Beno, a bunch of different ones. You can Google them, but Walmart. Yeah, I would rather people go to like Walgreens or CVS, because sometimes with Amazon, you never know what you're getting. So unless you know for sure it's a reputable company you're using, even though you probably wouldn't find any at CVS or Amazon or Walgreens, try Walmart, Target, you know, those places.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. Wow. Then we have Florona. What can you say?
Well, you know what? I haven't seen any Flurona yet. So we remember Flurona is if the person tests positive for flu and for corona. Like some people say we should probably actually call it fluvid, flu and COVID. But like today, one of my patients, this little boy, did test positive for flu. But we ran out of rapid tests because he was having fevers and so on. We ran out of rapid tests. So I sent a PCR on him. So I'll get the result back in a few days. So I'll let you guys know if it ended up being positive for COVID.
We
hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Hopefully it's not. I know.
Yeah.
Wish him the best in terms of recovery for
So
him.
the good thing is, honestly, with the kids, you know, most of them end up doing well. I think the most concern is for the kids under 5 that we're seeing a lot in the hospital, and kids with obesity and kids with asthma, kids with diabetes, kids with those other comorbidities. That's why it's important for us to work on obesity. And the pandemic really didn't help kids with obesity, because all it did was, and you know, cause them to, you know, when they were home from school, they gain a lot of weight because they weren't able to go outside their routine at school where they were doing all this recess or walk into the bus, walk into the train. They didn't get to do that. So that's a whole different story. But that's actually, you know, your field, Tola. What have you been seeing? Because for the pandemic, oh my gosh, the kids, I feel, in record numbers are coming with anxiety issues, depression, a lot of mental health issues. So I mean, I don't know, I need help.
No, totally. It's, you know, before I take that, let me think. Dr. Keisha was just saying multiplex PCR for both is available. Oh, and it's one swab. That sounds exciting, guys. You know, so look out for that as well. You know, as far as, you know, one of the tests that you can actually get done, purchase. All right. But yes, for us, you know, we've been swamped, you know, we've been swamped, not just that, but even in the ER, the number of children that are coming in with a lot of anxiety, depression, suicidality and just even tantrums. We're saying like, what are the obvious signs? Do we think it's all COVID related? I don't really, you can't necessarily say, but it's been a huge factor in the last 2 years. Their routines, their lives have completely changed. My I think my daughter was asking about, oh, so when can we start doing fun stuff? I'm like, aren't we doing fun stuff? But in my mind, I'm like, there's so much more that they're missing out of because I'm not one of those risk takers. So in terms of like, we're going here to the places where there are lots of other people, and so things that children were able to do with family. And I know at some point we're all exhausted and we're like, we're just going to live our lives, but at the same time you have to be cautious where you feel like you need to be, and more so with your omicron virus. And so for us, we're seeing lots and lots of cases where children are acting out. It's difficult to pinpoint exactly, but it's saying there's a lot of stressors. Of course, stressors from the parents down in bridging into the children, the lives of the children. We're looking at those who've been home for so long, whether it's abuse, just physical abuse, not just only, the most common things we see like sexual, but more physical abuse because parents are so frustrated and they're acting out, on the kids. And, it's just been a whole lot of things these are the things we're seeing. So, and we're still in it. It's not over yet. So I'm sure we're going to continue to hear and see more.
Yeah, but it's been sad, because I actually see a lot of teenagers now coming in and the parents are bringing them, and I can see like the kids are saying, yes, I need the help because they see themselves acting differently because I think, there's so much social isolation. The kids are just in their rooms and for so long they're not able to do a lot of stuff with their families. One of the things that I was reading recently, and I know, I'll get a lot of props with the kids for this one. And over the pandemic, I allow my teenager to play more of the video games, because I'm gonna win over the kids with this one. But I mean the positive games, not the crazy shooting up gang, ones where they're like spewing blood everywhere. The ones where they're able to, first of all, have a community, so they're able to interact with other kids. For my son, they interact a lot with their other cousins, and I think that helped a lot, and with other friends and so on, friends from school. And so I think that helped. And there are a lot of studies to show that actually was positive, some video games. And for the activity, I know right now there's a video game where it's like a 3D thing you put on the eyes and people like, boxing and stuff. So any kind of video games that can help them to be active, because not all kids are able to go outside to the park or have something available or bikes and so on. So active kind
the
of
parents are going to be like, Dr. Wiltshire, really? Are you encouraging that?
I know. And this is why, all my patients love me because, I am able to find the positive areas in things. So that's why I say not too much, just a little bit. If they're going to do it, make sure it's only on the weekends and make sure it's the positive ones that give them some social interaction and physical activity, but only on the weekends and holidays.
I like that because I'm going to be getting like, what, you guys encouraging that?
No, not on school nights. No, but anything, we have to try to make them, to distract them from all the craziness that's going on and try to help them to cope with this, and for some kids it's different things. For some kids it could be basketball, so you try to get them, or some kids it might be running outside, or different things. So you see what your kid like. It could be playing puzzles or writing stories, different things. So whatever it is to help the kids cope through this, and in turn it would help the parents as well.
Yes, totally. And, for me, I think I just wrote down some things. Parents, be kind to yourself. You're doing a great job. We're not perfect, right? We just remember first, you're human, and pandemic is here and it's working hard at everyone. We're all going through and we're all in this together. Accept the things you can change, and the ones you can't, just understand, like, what, this too shall pass. Focus on the present. There's so many ways we can get so caught up with everything that is going on. And even if you're dealing with the things individually or even collectively as a family, when you've been exposed and all the things that goes into play with that. So just kind of think about that. Know that, we're in this together. Take time for yourself. I know you're in the bathroom right there. That could be your self-care right there.
Oh, it
You know,
is.
one of the things I keep telling, like, find a way to get some time for yourself,
Yes.
even when you're taking care of your kids, you know, because, you know, we're all going through something together. And, you know, for the children, just try and find ways to kind of incorporate them into days and figure out what can excite them or what they can do. Dr. Wiltshire just encouraged some video games now, the really educational ones
Yeah.
on
And really
weekends and
physical
holidays.
activities ones.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe, you know, activities even on the weekends, or, you know, and sometimes you can go to the park that is not so overcrowded. But again, doing it, you know, being mindful. I know it's getting cold in a lot of places, so just, you know, being mindful of where you are, of course. You know, and just staying positive. And of course, if everything you continue to do, nothing is working, I'm always all for seeking help, you know, calling your primary doctor, care doctor, for a referral, trying to get into to see a psychologist, a psychiatrist, you know. So don't wait for too long, because a lot of things are changing so fast. And I mean, like, you can imagine, it's already January the 12th and we're here, and it's like, oh my goodness, you know. So be paying attention to our children who are going through all the changes there. You know, sometimes they might present with just being irritable, you know, or more tantrums, you know, you're getting more calls from school, you know, what's going on, you know. So these are ways of their ways they might be coping with the stressors that, you know, everyone is feeling all at the same time. So just kind of be mindful of these things, and, you know, just being present, and as much as you can, whatever you can do to help them, you know, it's here for now, and we're hopeful that, you know, we wouldn't get another
another
variant.
another
So,
Greek letter variant.
Greek letter
But
variant.
it's just definitely hard, and we're at a place where it seemed like I was reading the news and I see some of the kids in New York from the high school walked out because they want to go remote because there's so much that they're being exposed to in the schools. But we're trying to keep the schools open as much as possible for the kids because we know that's best. But also, it's like you have to weigh the balance.
Yeah.
How much are you exposing them? What are you putting them through? So I think all the schools have to really try to look at their scenario individually. If your school is able to have kids truly separate, truly have social distance, do proper testing, then they can safely keep them in school, which is what we want,
We want,
you
yeah.
know? So we really have to try to see how we can get the testing done right. And,
Yeah.
But of course, all of us have to continue to wear our mask, our
Yes,
mask
yes.
for real.
It's the new
And then,
fashion trend.
and then
Just
also,
think of
the
it.
talk has been, well, everyone needs N95 masks now, or everyone needs KN95.
KN95.
Yes, a KN95 and N95 is the better mask, but just try to wear a mask, at least one that has good layers,
Layers.
and fit properly, because you can have an N95 or a KN95 that's not even fitting you properly, and it's going to defeat the purpose. So what I tell my patients, try to get a mask that fits very well, and to me that is the best thing you can do, and make sure you
Absolutely.
wear it and cover your nose.
Yes, not under the chin or underneath
Yeah.
your nose.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Liz's 1076 says have conversation with the kids, let them express their feelings. Absolutely. You
Oh,
need to
yes.
talk to them all the time. Have that space. I know we're so busy with our works and all the things we're doing as parents, guardians, caregivers. But take the time out to truly find out what's going on with them. How are they feeling? How are they adjusting to all the changes that they're having to experience, from being hybrid to back in classroom, and all this testing they're now having to do as a system. So yes. And
Yeah.
Kenny girl,
Go ahead, Tilda.
no, go ahead. Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to respond to Kenny Girl 34.
Oh,
Social distancing is still a problem with students under 7. Absolutely.
yes, and so this is why, for kids who are in that age range, and especially most of them are not vaccinated, we really have to try as adults to do our job and get as vaccinated as, because we can. But yeah, that's why for that age group, it's a lot of infection. It's hard,
It's
you know.
hard.
But
Right.
testing, I don't know how they're doing testing in that age group, but testing also or at least screening. If the kid is sick, try to keep them home. You know, some parents still send the kids even though they have a runny nose and so on. So we have to try to really adhere to those screening questions and try to keep the
Yeah.
kid home. And again, it's hard. Parents need to work. I mean, yeah, my son has been out of daycare because they, you know, the same thing. They had to, there was an exposure in the classroom, but luckily I have a nanny. I was able to have him stay home, but not everyone has that. So it's such a tough situation, you know?
Yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah,
And Lola Sal says here, yeah, if you're going to wear under the nose or chin, no point wearing one. Absolutely.
exactly.
It's got to be covered.
Mhm.
It needs to cover like the nostril as well as the mouth for
Yeah.
it to be effective. So yeah.
Because, you know, it really does work if you're wearing the mask. It really does work. And a properly fitted mask that you wear over your nose, you know, that's the most important thing. But one of the other things I wanted to say, and I know it's 11 minutes over our time, because you were talking about all the coping mechanisms. And one of the things I remember, um, one of the class I did in residency, they talk about cards, CARD. You try to comfort the child, you know, different ways to comfort them. And that can be, you know, trying to help them to not think negative thoughts. The A stands for ask them how they're feeling, you know, what is upsetting you, you know, how do you feel about certain things. The R, relaxation. So relax, help them to relax. So what makes them relax? It could be walking with them in the park, you know, doing something with them that, or painting, whatever the kids like. And the D, distract them. So distract them, it could be, you know, have them play puzzles, or you know, do something as a group, you and the other kids, anything that would keep their mind off of what's going on. So that's an easy thing for parents to remember. Card, CARD, comfort,
I like
ask,
that.
relax, distract.
All right, guys, take
Mhm.
that in. That is amazing. And I
Yeah.
think it was who had mentioned asking. I think it was, let's see, Liz. Yeah, she was talking about conversation. So that's, the comfort and asking how, so they can express their feelings and talk about what's going on with them. And I see, yes, thank you, Kenny girl. That's
That's
amazing.
my friend Kenlyn. Hi,
And
Kenlyn.
I think they said they test randomly. Kenny Girl says they test randomly. It's the asymptomatic ones that are tricky. Absolutely.
Yes, yes. So that's really the hard thing, because you're testing randomly. How many is that? You know, is it just two people you're testing, three? Like, you know, you really have to test a good number in order for it to really work. So, you know, testing would be the best way, but it's hard. And, you know, how many times you want to get stuff
When it
stuck
gets
up your nose, you know, so it's really a
not
tough
fun.
situation. So that's why, guys, get the kids vaccinated. I'm a board certified pediatrician. My son is, well, you guys know I have 4 kids now, but the ones that were, the 14-year-old is vaccinated and about to get his booster because it just got recommended for
Yeah,
kids over 12.
that's
If it's
amazing.
been, 5 months, they can get their booster. And the booster isn't recommended yet for the 5 to 11, but it's recommended if the kids have an immunocompromised illness. So if they have like a solid organ, you know, like a cancer or something like transplant, they can get the booster between 5 to 11. But if the kid is 12 and above, they can get the booster
Yeah.
vaccine. So I think from pretty much the studies, and because the vaccines are so new, all of this is new, we're learning as we're going. But one of the things that we do know is that the vaccine does help to decrease the transmission
Yeah.
of the virus, and it also helps to prevent people from being hospitalized, and it definitely helps to prevent death. And to me, that's very, very good. We have to stop all this silly conspiracy theories, because people are dying, people are getting sick. So many of my friends and relatives lost loved ones. I mean, forget it. My time in New York, honestly, Tola, as a chief medical officer, I feel like up to now, I don't even know if I dealt with what I went through mentally from the amount of loss that
Lost.
occurred there. And, you know, it really was an issue, and it still continues in many areas that's underserved, and people, people are just not hearing about it. But here in America, we're privileged to have vaccines. Many countries are not privileged to have vaccines, you know? So again, you know, everybody has to do what they believe, but you know, try to make the right choices as much as possible. And I see people from Adabo. I miss you guys. You know, Adabo is my forever home. Yes, yes, yes.
That's awesome. Wow. Wow, this has been amazing. I hope you guys have learned so much. I mean, and again, you know, there's going to be new data every, you know, as we're all in this together. We're seeing the CDC come up with things and we're like, okay, another new thing.
Yeah.
So just, you know, continue
So,
to pay attention to.
and what we're gonna do, Tola, if there's a new recommendation and stuff, we'll come back on because you know, I think,
Exactly. Sounds
yeah,
great to me. I'm down with that.
yeah, we're
Would
gonna.
love to have you back again.
Thank you. And I think I like this Instagram live. Why I never done this before?
I don't know. Well,
You-
I'm glad we're doing this. You know, we were supposed to have one last year, so hey, we're
yeah.
this timing is perfect. So
So listen, next we gotta find something else to talk about and come back and
I'm excited. I'm already excited. I have a topic already.
well, you know,
Uh,
I just wanted to say before we go, I'm super proud of you. You are just amazing. You know, I don't know if the people know, but you recently won a title. You're a queen for the U.S. Elite 2022. So not just brains, but beauty at its best. And you know, keep on doing good things. I mean, the world need more Black female awesome physicians like you, especially in the area of addiction medicine, which is, you know, we don't usually see faces like you leading in that area. So
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
keep up
you.
the good
My
work.
amazing sister. Love you so much. Thank you so much for coming tonight on the Dr. Tala show. Thank you guys, our audience. Thanks for hanging with us. And I hope you really learned something, you know, about COVID, the impact on your kids, and even for yourself as an adult. And of course, the mental impact as well, and what you can be doing to help your kids. I really like the cards, you know, comfort, ask, relax, and distract. So that's really awesome. I'm going to take that. Take that one. So I don't see any more questions. So thank you guys. We're signing out. Take care.
Take
Thank
care.
you, Dr.
Bye.
Wiltshire.
Bye bye.
Bye.